RVers have been asking for years for someone to build an app similar to Expedia or Priceline or Hotels Tonight. Has somebody finally solved the problem? We talked to one of the founders of Spot Tonight to find out. That and a whole lot more on this episode of the RV Miles podcast. RV Miles is sponsored by LL Bean, your source for ready-for-anything outerwear this winter. LL Bean outerwear is packed with the most advanced materials and innovations, from high-performance jackets with NASA-developed technology to versatile fleece that layers with anything. When it comes to outdoor comfort, they've got you covered. Visit llbean.com to find a store or shop now. LL Bean. Be an outsider. Welcome to episode 181 of RV Miles. I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby. And we are two full-time travelers who, along with our boys, Jack, Ethan, and Henry, are crisscrossing North America on one epic road trip. Each week we talk all things RV and outdoors, from travel destinations to gear, industry news, our national parks, and a whole lot more.
We come to you again this week from Mustang Island State Park, where it's a little breezy along the Gulf.
Windy Island State Park.
In the great state of Texas. It's that we're recording inside if you're watching on YouTube, because the RV Miles roaming podcast studio
is about to blow away.
Our clam tent outdoors. As you'll see in the interview I did this afternoon, I recorded it a little bit earlier, the interview for later on in the show.
Did the clam come and just come over you and then pop back up?
There were times that, because the ceiling pops up. There were many times that I thought the ceiling was going to crash down on me. It didn't. It held.
Did I ever tell you about the camping trip I went on where...
Did you ever?
Did I?
You didn't tell them, though.
I probably didn't. So I'll tell the story really quick and then we'll move on. So I went camping one year with some friends, and I was with this guy I was dating, and we had just like this kind of small, get that look off your face. So it happens. So we had this little small tent, and my friends, Jenny and Grant, had this really big tent, and they were laughing at us because our tent was tiny. And they're like, oh, look, we have all this room, whatever. And so we were like, okay, fine, good night. And that night, a windstorm comes in. We were in Colorado. Their tent was not equipped to handle it. It wasn't aerodynamic. So we watched from our tent window, laughing hysterically as the wind would push their tent down, and it would push it down so far we could see their body outlines. And I mean, Jenny and Grant, they're still friends. They're still around. And we laughed so hard at them because they just looked and they were miserable. They were so miserable all night long. So every time, that clam gets going, I keep wondering whether or not I'm going to see your outline eventually. Didn't happen today, though, thankfully.
Anyway.
Jason's so over that story. It's probably like the 15th time I've told it in our relationship because it's so funny. He's so done with it.
Yeah, there wasn't another guy involved the first few times I heard it.
I edited that part out.
Yeah, you went on a camping trip.
Oh, hun.
Your tent was small.
Oh, hun, listen. You had a life before me. I had a life before you.
Damn right I did.
We don't say words like that on this show.
Darn right I did.
We don't say words like that on this show. Everyone had a life before marriage. It is what it is.
All right. Well, we got a great show today. I have a great interview with Terry Broussard from Spot Tonight, which is a new app that is coming that has done some great things. If they can pull it off, it will be a great option for us that are out there looking to book campgrounds tonight or in a couple nights or, whenever.
It's like an app made for the Eppersons.
A lot of people have been asking for a long time for something that could solve this problem with the fact that it is so difficult to check each and every campground in an area to see what's available. Hopefully, this might be an option for us. So stay tuned for that in a little bit. But let's start off by talking about a big piece of news that I did a YouTube video about as well. The National Park Service has long had this rule, and we reported on this in the past, about commercial filming in national parks. And in fact, it's on all public lands, national forest, Bureau of Land Management. There are rules about commercial filming and what permits that you need. And the permit process involves it's a month-long process. You pay a fee and you could still be denied. And then you pay a daily shooting fee. Well, this applies to people who do YouTube like us as well, and anybody that is making money off of content. And some even think that that kind of applies to somebody who's not making money off the content, but is putting it on YouTube or Facebook anyway, because those companies are making money off of it. So a federal judge struck down that law last week because somebody sued. In the past, every time somebody has tried to sue, the National Park Service has backed down and rescinded their fine so that there would be no lawsuits, that there would be no negative filing. Well, this judge found that the restriction on the type, what the content is used for, is a violation of freedom of speech. And I think obviously the National Park Service and other federal land agencies are going to make some new rules about filming that might be a little bit more about, the size of film crews and stuff like that. Because obviously they don't want, and nobody wants Hollywood movies to be going and filming on public lands for free without a permit whenever they want to.
No, but there should be nothing wrong with someone having their Osmo, their GoPro, their phone.
Yeah.
Doing a little filming.
And news. I mean, one of the biggest things with this was news organizations also had to have a permit and have a waiting period and all that sort of stuff.
You were so frustrated that we had to go buy a $600 clam.
Yeah.
And now we don't need it.
We still like our clam, though.
We do. We still like it. But what we bought it for and what it was in response to
was to be secretly filming on public land. No more. We can open those shades.
We can all the shades are going to be open now. You just wait. You're going to see everywhere we're at.
So check out that video if you want to hear more of the details about that. We also wanted to talk about our friend Janine Pettit over at Girl Camper magazine. Now, it used to be just girlcamper.com, the website. Now Janine has a magazine. She's also had the Girl Camper podcast for a long time as well. Janine every year does a raffle for a foundation called the Hold You Foundation. And I had a great conversation with her on the phone the other day about what this foundation does. When you have a family member with health issues, you have a big sort of tragedy thing like that. Say your child has leukemia and they're in a hospital that's miles and miles away from your home. You've had to leave your job for it. You've had to take a leave of absence and you can't pay your electric bill. You can't pay your rent. This foundation covers those things that foundations often overlook. So it's a really great option for people who are struggling with those sorts of things. The Hold You Foundation has received a 75% drop in their sort of monthly giving program, their planned giving. At the same time, they've seen a drastic increase in requests during the pandemic because people are having more problems paying for things. So Janine does this raffle of an RV every year. You can win an RV as a $10 raffle. And it's usually a cute little one axle trailer. And this is no exception this year. It's a little white and yellow, really cute little vintage looking relic custom travel trailer that comes with a custom awning from Tin Can Awnings. And it is only 1,500 pounds, so you can tow it behind a whole lot of different vehicles out there, even a family SUV, a small crossover even. So check that out at girlcamper.com/raffle. It's only $10 per entry. You can enter multiple times if you want to, and perhaps you'd win an RV.
But if you don't need an RV and you don't want to win this teeny tiny little RV, if you do have $10 to give, if you have 20 or even more, please consider going over to the Hold You Foundation and just directly donating to them.
You can even get, if you own an RV and you don't want this one, you can go buy some raffle tickets. And if you happen to win, you just donate it back.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a win-win all around.
So check that out. We'll put a link to it in the description on the YouTube video and in the show notes on the podcast as well. But it's girlcamper.com/raffle. And Girl Camper is a great organization. Janine does a fantastic job with the magazine. It's probably the best RV magazine there is out there. It was one of the best RV magazines there are.
Also, she's just really nice.
Yes.
We like nice people.
Finally, we wanted to mention a change with our Monday night live streams.
The ones we've missed for the last 2 weeks in a row.
The internet thing, it's just, it's too difficult for us to nail down good internet to make that happen every Monday. So what we're going to do is a monthly night live. We're going to do a monthly live stream at the beginning of every month instead of our weekly live stream. And we're going to try to make a little bit bigger deal out of it, I think.
Absolutely. Nothing's changing in regards to the time. It's still on Mondays. It's going to happen on the first Monday of every single month at 7 p.m. Central. It'll be on YouTube and on the RV Miles and Our Wandering Family Facebook pages. So you have 3 different platforms you could go to watch. And we're going to do kind of what we do what we used to do every week. We're going to talk to you. We're going to hang out. We're going to answer questions. Maybe we'll have a topic, but we are going to try and make them just a little extra special because we're only doing them once a month now. But this is a way that we can continue to engage with all of you because it is really one of our most favorite things. It's one of the very few times, especially during the pandemic, that we actually get to talk with people in the RV Miles community, but also going to this monthly will ensure that we're creating something that's of quality, not quantity, but quality. And that's something that's really, really important to Jason and I, that anything we do here at RV Miles, we try to do the very best of our abilities. And we had felt that Monday Night Live, the weekly live, was not meeting our standards. So hopefully switching to monthly Night Live we'll make that happen.
Maybe we'll even have guests. I don't know.
Oh,
just
let's not get crazy. I mean, I would love that, but let's just get through the first one and see how that goes.
All right. So we'll give you plenty notice about the next one coming up if you follow us on Facebook. Okay. It's time to take a break.
Yes,
and
it is.
When we come back, we're going to have the answer to last week's brain teaser, and then we're going to have my interview with Terry Broussard from Spot Tonight.
Be right back.
Outdoor enthusiasts of all stripes will enjoy Pelican gear on their adventures. Hard-sided Pelican Elite coolers are all made in America and are available in a wide number of sizes. Get a 20-quart for short day trips, a 50-quart for week-long adventures, or a wheeled 45-quart to keep the fun rolling along. Pelican backs all their hard-sided coolers with a lifetime warranty, too. RV Miles listeners can get a free Day Venture tumbler when they visit elitecooler.com/RV Miles and spend over $100.
Did you know that FMCA is the world's largest nonprofit RV club and its mission is RV education? All members of the FMCA have access to FMCA University, a virtual library of 600 articles plus and videos about RVing. FMCA also offers driving schools throughout the year, and their 2.5-day hands-on RV basics course all about RV maintenance, designed for RV newbies or experienced RVs who want a refresher. All FMCA members also receive their monthly magazine, Family RVing, full of helpful articles, RV reviews, and tips. FMCA membership is $85 for your first year, $75 upon renewal. And with code RVMiles21, you can save $10 instantly and join for $75 for your first year. You can view the full set of benefits at fmca.com or call 800-543-3622 and sign up with the code RVMiles21 for $10 off. It's time for the answer to last week's brain teaser. Abby, this one was yours again, so why don't you read it?
Yes, it was, and I will read it. What English word has 3 consecutive double letters?
We had a lot of answers that were not consecutive double letters. They had to be consecutive sets of double letters. So Mississippi does not work.
It does not, but I really loved the enthusiasm that came with this brain teaser last week. So the answer is actually bookkeeper.
2 O's, 2 K's, and 2 E's right in a row.
Yep. And so we will have a new brain teaser at the end of the show. I will say this one has not been picked by me.
Yes.
So it should be 45 minutes long. Get your pen and paper out, everybody. We're about to do some math.
All right. Well, earlier today, I had the fortunate experience of interviewing Terry Broussard from Spot Tonight, SPOT, the number 2, NITE, which is a new app that's coming, and you can get on a waiting list for it, that is going to help hopefully solve some of the issues with booking campgrounds by selecting from a host of campgrounds, not going to each individual campground's website, or worse, calling each individual campground. So
there is nothing worse for an introvert than having to call the campground to find out about availability.
There is one thing worse. One thing worse is when you have to call the campground to find out about availability and they don't answer the phone.
Oh, and then you have to leave a message. I don't leave messages.
And it happens all the time because there's one person working at the desk and they get on the phone with somebody and they're spending 45 minutes with them. And
sometimes I will even say in the message, if you could just text me a response,
that'd be great.
That would be great. They don't ever text.
So this interview, if most of you are listening via podcast, but we also have the YouTube version as well. So if you're listening via podcast, know that Terry's also showing me the app via video as we're recording this. So there'll be a few times when he's referencing something that you can't see. But if you want to see it, go watch the video version and you can get sort of the layout of how the app works, because you can't download the app yet, but you can go to their website, spottonight.com, and click on the link and they'll email you when it's available, which is going to be in just a few days. So without further ado, here's my interview with Terry Broussard from Spot Tonight. Terry, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. Thanks for having me today.
So Spot Tonight, it's coming soon to an app store near you. It's going to be an app that is going to help make things a little bit different for campers looking for spots. Tell us about the history of Spot Tonight and what it can do for us.
Certainly. Well, I'm a 4-time RV traveler myself, on my 4th little RV. And basically one afternoon down here in South Louisiana on a Friday afternoon, my son-in-law says, let's go camping and tonight. And I said, really? He said, yeah, let's go somewhere. And I said, okay, here's my phone, 4 pages of apps to find camp spots. You find one in South Louisiana in camping season tonight that we can book. And he says, you got to be kidding. And, really, most people are used to the methods of immediate booking online for hotels and other venues, even golf tees. And I think that's what he was familiar with. So we started scratching our heads together and came up with this idea of Spot Tonight. And that was 16 months ago when we started the first literally drawing screens on a piece of scratch paper and looking at different ways to connect. And we started traveling Louisiana as we were in the RV. And I was talking to park owners and getting smart on how some of them are still using a notepad as their booking system, all the way up to these very robust park management systems. Once we discovered that, we started looking into park management systems and those that offered a developer's kit so that we could then buy the kit, develop the integrations, and port those into an app. As you'll see in the app, one of the key features is it doesn't require you to play Google RV Parks Near Me, drill down a hole, and come up nothing, and then have to come back up and go back down again. So we build your profile from the top. We apply those filters at the top of the stack and serve up to the traveler only those parks that have a spot that meets your requirements and that are on a connected, integrated system with us.
So campgrounds don't have to, they could still be working with their regular reservation system and integrate into Spot Tonight.
That's correct. So it's our goal. We have 3 integrations underway and in the can, already done. And what we do is as we contact parks through social media, through using our marketing efforts, and I do interviews with the parks. If they're not on one of those systems, then we aggregate those. And as we get a cluster, then we approach the integration system and say, hey, we've got 30 parks here that we really like to connect. Can we have a discussion about how to integrate with you? And it's interesting. Most of them actually have an API or an application protocol interface that is developed or some sort because of the structure and architecture of their systems. And we take that and basically it sends data out and our guys take that data and ingest it. And we've created Spot Tonight, and that's how it works. So right now with those 3 different systems, we are looking at close to 1,500 parks that we have access to. So we still have to market to the parks. So that's why we go out to venues such as Woodall's and the hospitality expos. And then we cater also to the travelers. So we were just at the Florida RV Super Show, had a phenomenal response there. And the interest continues to trickle in at a very fast pace. We were getting 4 signups a minute on Saturday morning last weekend.
Wow.
And it's amazing.
Well, show us what the app looks like. Show us what we can get out of this.
Okay, so if we flip over to the screen down here, this is our app running right here. That's our icon. And when the traveler first downloads it, it's a free download, they will build their profile out. But let me start from the beginning. If you go over to the account tab, that's the first tab that you will build up. You're going to tell us what you travel in, all the information about you. We save that. Tell us how you like to camp. So I get park facility, amenities, and features when I do an interview with the park. And they say, hey, did you know we actually have a golf range here? Or we're pet friendly. We actually have a splash pad. Oh, do you have anybody that has a zip line? And so forth and so on. And then park activities. And that way the travelers can cater and schedule and search according to those parks that have those filters. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. And then under spot amenities is the typical hardware to support your RV. And I generally keep mine just for the purposes of opening up the most parks, because that way, if I'm just going down the road and need to find a spot for the night, I don't necessarily have to have a lazy river. But if I'm bringing my boat and I want to launch it, I've got to have a boat ramp. So now we've done that. You're also going to load in your payment method, and we have an integrated system with Stripe, so we're not the holder of credit card information. It's all through tokens. Then you're going to tell us membership and discounts. So if you have any membership and discount that the park honors, we honor that as well and bring that through. So we have a series of them loaded, and you validate it, and we actually are working where you'll actually snap a shot of your ID card, because you know how some of the parks want to see that on check-in, your membership card. That if that matches up with a membership rate that they offer, then that discount will be honored. And then, of course, we have support tabs, get help, send us feedback. Say, for instance, you're in a park and it's not on spot tonight, and you thought, wow, it'd be nice because it's one of my favorite. People can just go into feedback and email it. Comes direct to myself and Sam, my co-founder, and we'll go at it and look at it and evaluate what system they're using. If it's one of the integrations, we'll reach right out to them, and it's very easy to get them hooked up. So now we're going to go over to the search, and right here, let's just say we're going just north here, North Louisiana, Natchitoches, one of my favorite parks here. We do call it Spot Tonight because literally that's how we started looking. But you do have the ability to toggle ahead and book. You can go as far forward as the park permits you in their reservation system. So I know some do 6 months, some do a year, but it will do that as well. You'll tell us how many guests you have with you. Again, you're seeing similar as the check-in. And this is the one last chance here quick before the search to add things like a boat ramp or so forth. But if you just want to use the preset filters, you do that and you show spots. So at this point, the logic goes out and hits the database of all of these park systems and says, in Natchitoches, Louisiana, we have these parks, and this is the connected one. It also happens to be one of my favorite. But a traveler, as you see, I'm just swiping to the side, looking at different pictures. And if I see something that's interesting in the park, I can hit it. I can bring up the pictures again. And of course, see it much larger than on my phone. We always show the travel distance as well. And if you touch the map, it will ask you, do you want to go to Google or Apple Maps and jump out to the driving mode? You can read about the park. We glean all of this from the web. The park managers and owners have the ability to edit pictures and all their text so they can put things in. Now you're starting to see the features of the park, rules, and cancellation policies. Now, since people go together mostly, we have the ability right here to share it. And so people can send a text to their traveling group or in our group, we have a group called the Fam Jam, and everybody gets it, and they can cast opinions on whether they want to camp at that park, or this link will take them directly to the app and directly to the park that we're looking at. So now we're doing another quick poll on the database. We're bringing up a map, and you're actually seeing spots that would be available for the time frame that I wanted. So let's just say my favorite park spot in this park is way back here. I like it. It's Pecan Orchard back in there. It's just really nice. Tells you about the spot, what it has. I hit continue, and we're ready to book. So again, to this point, the traveler hasn't spent anything. They haven't paid for a download. They can search and save parks. When the app comes out, people can review spots and put it in their favorites list. And you see the little clock ticking, because again, we're booking in real time, just as if you're talking to the park itself or standing at the desk. And when they hit complete reservation, then it generates a reservation, and the park system shows up as if you were just talking to them on the phone. You get email confirmation, and you are booked. And then the park operators actually have the ability to send alerts to the travelers, and these are geolocated to your phone. So with all of the concern right now about the pandemic and contactless check-in, these are just some of the scripts that I put together where perhaps as you approach the gate, your phone will get the alert, and if they have a gate code or Wi-Fi, bathhouse code, even what time the coffee's there and who to call if you need help, can all be pushed out. And in that mode, advertisers as well can subscribe and join in the advertising team, and such things as, oh, hey, I didn't know, I had an RV service technician located 15 minutes from me if I need any help.
I was recently at a park where they did text notifications similar to that. They rolled it out because of the pandemic, where they sent you a text the morning of your arrival saying, this is what you need to do, and a couple basic rules. And then in the park itself, if there was a lost dog, they'd send a text out to everybody in the park that there was a lost dog. If there was somebody had left something, or there was water was going to be shutting off, they had the ability to do that. And I think that's one of those things that has come out of the pandemic that might continue forward, that just sort of makes things a little bit easier on everybody.
Yeah, and especially even with inclement weather, and you occasionally hear of tornadoes and whatnot coming through parks, and sometimes people get disconnected. Not everybody has a weather radio set in their trailer, and it becomes our communication, and it's extremely just kind of becoming the way that we are these days. And with all of the travelers out there, over 25 million RVers on the road right now, the number increasing daily, as you've probably seen, that it's going to become more commonplace. And it's our hope that Spot Tonight helps people find spots easy so they can enjoy it. I talked to a lot of people. They said, wow, we just got an RV. We had no idea that finding a reservation was that hard to do.
This is what a lot of people have been asking for a really long time. Something like, not to compare you to somebody, but something like Expedia for people to use. And I think a lot of companies have tried, and they've come at it from the angle that they're building a reservation software for the campgrounds to use. And I think that's why they've all failed, because they haven't been able to capture a big enough market share, where yours has the ability to integrate with lots of different softwares. And I think that's fantastic. Will you have the ability, like something like Hotels Tonight, where you could even have campgrounds push discounts for last minute reservations?
Oh, absolutely. If, as you said earlier, we're directly integrated with these systems. And so that was our first marketing point, was to meet with these reservation systems. And once they realized that we were a neutral party, that we were not beholden to a competitor, and then we become, as my son-in-law says, Switzerland to us. So then we have a very dialogue that's very much open architecture, and we work with them. So we do feature those rates directly in the system. And I always say that if the park owner runs a dynamic rate structure for a holiday, or hey, I got a lot of vacancies Wednesday night, let me give a real good discount. That rate immediately shows up in our system. If a tree falls down and takes out spots 1, 3, and 5, they don't have to go into our system to close it. If they close those spots in their main booking system, they won't show up on ours. If someone's leaving the park and says, hey, the power pole really sparked just a minute ago, you might want to check it, they may want to stop booking on that spot and make those repairs. Again, they don't have to go in our system. It's one of the beauties is these, the park owners that with whether they're front desk workers or it's a husband-wife team or a work camper or after-school college students, the learning curve on some systems are extremely steep. So that's the last thing they want to do is have to learn another reservation system. So we're not a reservation system. That's not our business. We are more into offering up spots that meet the traveler's need for immediate booking for tonight and into the future.
I think a lot of people don't realize that the devil really is in all those little details. You can have a really cool idea for a software, but if those little things aren't met that make it easier for the campground and for the customer aren't met, then it's never going to work out. So it's great that you've been working on this for a while. The app is not available to the public yet, but we can get on a waiting list. But you have people testing it, right?
Absolutely. You just saw it. It's live. I could actually book right now. We're in the test mode, which is one of the first stages of getting a product into the App Store. We're also concurrently developing, and that will come out in the future months, the Android version of that. So, this is real. This is, as they say, not smoke and mirrors. I actually had to call a park from the show and cancel the reservation because I accidentally hit the book reservation, and there's no way I could have made it to that campground. And so it's live, and the beta testers are out there using it, and it's real exciting. Yes, 16 months, and here we are right on the edge. I mean, we are literally days away from launch and bringing this experience. So as you said, if people go to www.spottonight.com, there's an early access sign up, and we will be emailing them as soon as we're live in the App Store, and they'll get a link that, of course, will take them into direct into the load sequence.
And that's Spot, the number 2, and then NITE, SPOT 2 NITE. And how do you make money off this? Is the customer charged? Is the campground charged?
Sure. So we actually do not charge the campgrounds. We don't charge the integration team. The customers do pay a convenience fee right now. Averages about $3 to $5 per night for the booking, and that's capped at $20. And eventually, it's our business model that we're certain that the advertisers will end up taking that over, and it'll just be free booking. That's just the way it's going to be on ours.
So there's no charge to look at campgrounds. It's just once you make the booking, you have a reservation fee like a lot of systems have.
Right. So just the whole demo that I just did for you, actually all of that, everybody can do all of that for free. They can go ahead and start building their saved list of parks, like sitting there and look at the parks and zoom out to the maps and share that. That's all free. All of that's free. It's just when you hit the reserve button that you would be paying for the reservation and, of course, a convenience fee on top of that.
Well, Terry Broussard from Spot Tonight, thanks so much for joining us. I think this is really interesting. I'm really looking forward to trying it out when it's available.
Well, thanks, Jason. Again, I really appreciate having the time here with your viewers. Great show, great program. And we hope to see you down the road.
And we'll have a link to spottonight.com in the description and the show notes as well. Thanks a lot, Terry. See you soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
When it comes to RV travel, weather safety is a top priority, which is why the Highway Weather app provides weather forecasts for road trips along every point of your route, adjusted to your time of travel. You can compare forecasts, get recommendations for the best time to head out, get severe weather alerts, add rest stops to long trips, and more. Did I mention all of that is included free in the app? For subscribers, there's a hands-free background feature to automatically alert you to upcoming bad weather. To download the app, visit highwayweather.io today or look for it in your iOS or Android app store.
We want to thank Terry again for joining us on the podcast. I'm really excited to see where this goes, and hopefully, all the dominoes fall where they're supposed to, and it becomes something that's very useful for all of us out there.
I'm excited for it.
I particularly love that they're working with all the different reservation companies that provide this software to all these campgrounds. So,
did you put us on the email list?
I did.
Okay,
all
fantastic.
Right. Okay, it's time to check the level of our tanks. Abby, what's in your black tank this week?
So my black tank is a story that we came across in Woodall's Campground Management. It's coming out of Sheridan, Wyoming, which happens to be the business home base of RV Miles.
It is.
We might be rethinking that. So they're proposing a rule, regulation, law, whatever you want to call it, that would require RVers to move every month from a campground that they're staying at. So basically what they're saying is no long-term rentals.
Which is strange because that area is a popular place for people to summer. You get a seasonal site in the summer.
Yeah. They don't want seasonal sites anymore. So their thought process behind this ordinance, and this is a direct quote, they say, when you accumulate stuff and you don't have anything that requires you to be mobile, you have the potential for clutter to occur. When you move around a lot, it does keep you light and you don't tend to accumulate a lot of stuff. That's kind of what this is going after.
That
End
was
quote.
From the city administrator, Stuart McRae, saying that if you don't have an ordinance like that,
people are creatures of habit and they will start to accumulate things.
They'll make messes.
That's fine. Do your homeowners have to move every month so that they also don't accumulate things in their yard? I mean, this is a very, for me, it feels like they are grasping at straws for just basically saying, we don't want your junky RV in this RV park for months on end. Yeah,
but you know what? It's Sheridan, Wyoming. People aren't. I don't know what people are doing, but wintering in Sheridan, Wyoming is a tough thing. In an RV, I don't know that you'd be doing that.
I don't know either. I have never wintered in Sheridan, Wyoming. I have mixed emotions about this. I understand that it's really important that communities want their communities to stay lovely. Okay, nobody wants to roll up into a town and see trash all over the streets, like homes that look like they're falling down. I understand all of that. But at some point, where do we stop with this sort of, it's all the RVers who are making our community look so awful. That's why we don't want new RV parks. That's why we don't want, seasonal rentals. When do we stop that narrative and flip the glass around and look at what's happening inside our own community? Like that to me is where I feel like there's this disconnect. So you're going to say this about the campground and you guys might go forward with this ordinance. What are you doing about the people that live in your community?
Yeah.
Do you have ordinances for them? And then if you do, when do I stop owning property?
How about an ordinance about having clutter out on your lawn? That would make more sense.
Right. But at the same time, I own that property.
Yeah, well,
there's a whole lot that could be said here. And maybe potatoes, tomato. I don't know here. There's a lot for me to still unpack with this. And I have a lot of thoughts on it. But I gave up my black tank because I just grow a little tired of RVers being responsible for the reasons that a community is either pretty or it's not. And I don't think that that's really how it rolls. At least as I have traveled through communities, I haven't gone into them and been like, oh, man, if they would not let those RVers be at that RV park right now, this town would be banging.
All right. What's in your fresh tank?
So my fresh tank this week goes to the Texas grocery store, HEB, for two reasons. One, their homemade in-house tortillas. Oh, man, I'm going to eat that whole bag. I don't even need anything on them. I'm just going to eat them. I picked up some today that were fresh, warm, right out of the oven. So good. Second, though, and I want to thank everyone who pointed me towards this grocer because I had said a few weeks ago how much I really liked Texas pecan coffee. And I wanted to make sure that I got some before we left. And everyone, hands down, I got all these messages. Go to HEB and get their brand, get their Texas pecan brand. So I went, I picked it up, and I was so pleasantly surprised by it. It's very good. But what I loved even more is that they had a whole like Texas themed coffee line. So there's the Austin, San Antonio, the Hill Country, Houston, Texas pecan, and they're all flavored with cinnamons and vanillas and caramels and just like yummy stuff, pecans. And I like it. I think it's kind of cool that a local grocery store cares that much about coffee.
All right.
So they get my fresh tank. I also just went there today and bought an insane amount of food. I shouldn't be allowed in there by myself. All right, Jay, what is in your black tank?
My black tank is oh boy. The town of Billings, Montana.
We have another town.
There's an RV theft in Billings, Montana that involved a low-speed chase that ended up having to be stopped with spike strips. It was a 12 and a 13-year-old boy who stole an RV. And,
what?
I'm
trying to read
We have
this
a 13-year-old, so I'm trying to imagine our 13-year-old.
Jack couldn't even... I can't even imagine. What? First off, was it just like a class B?
I guess it's a great thing that I can't imagine our 13-year-old stealing an RV.
Well, what kind of RV was it?
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say.
It
has
article.
to have been like a C, an A, or a B. There's no way it has to have been.
It was stolen from an auto auction, and I don't know. They were found traveling on a state highway, and police tried to stop them. And they didn't stop. They got onto I-90.
What?
Yeah. No charges have been filed there because they're little kids, and they're giving them the proper mental health evaluations and stuff. But
maybe they just were asked to move the RV. It had been somewhere for a month.
Maybe they just had a little fun.
Oh my gosh! Wow, joyriding in an RV.
Oh boy.
That's something. I can't even wrap my head around that one right now. All right. What is your fresh tank?
So I've been having lots of conversations with people in the RV industry over the last week and a half. Things are ramping up, and you have been too. You have too.
Not really.
You have been over email. You have been the email queen.
I've also been
now.
over your shoulder, like answer when I know what you're talking about, being like, "No, listen, it's this."
So, what I want to fresh tank right now is there is a segment of the people that do what we do, the YouTubers, the podcasters, the bloggers. There's a large segment of us that work together and that try to bring you folks great stuff and try to support each other and try to recommend to you other articles, other blogs, other podcasts, other things that you might be interested in. And then there's a swath of us that is kind of out for themselves and just looking to sort of build their little empire.
Well, here's the thing. This is so interesting that you fresh tanked this, because I was going to fresh tank it. Then I saw you had it. So then I switched it up really and decided to go HEB and food and coffee, because sometimes I like to get off the RV industry and talk about other things. But what I find so interesting is that you are fresh tanking this because it's almost like surprising and refreshing.
It is.
And, we all know who are the ones that don't want to be in the whole, a rising tide lifts all boats sort of arena. And we all know. And it's frustrating because if we could all just be a community and work together, think about the amazing things that we could do.
Mm-hmm.
So
the actually in my fresh tank are people like Damian Ross at Rootless Living magazine and podcast, Heath and Alyssa Paget from the RV Entrepreneur, who have a great community that is meant to do just exactly this, what we're talking about.
They did that today, actually. And I thought it was really cool that they were like, hey, we want to start this thing where we give a shout out to others doing something similar and the content they bring. And I just thought that's awesome.
Tony and Peggy over at the Stressless Camping podcast and website. Janine Pettit, of course, from Girl Camper. Our friend Rick Kessler over at RV Business. Chuck Woodbury over at RV Travel. Andy and Patrick at RV Life. Joshua Sheehan at Ganderflight, who's built this great Facebook community of RV content creators that we love to be a part of. There's this dynamic of people that are trying to create something unique and different and great for all of you to look at. And I think it's fantastic. And we're going to continue to try to support those people more.
Absolutely. And I also think that there are a few manufacturers who are starting to open up a little bit more to the community and hear words from those outside their inner circle as well. And that's exciting.
A lot of people think that, that all these influencers are out there. They're all sponsored by manufacturers and that they're giving them RVs and stuff like that. And there's a little bit of that happens. But what a lot of people don't realize is the RV manufacturers have done very little marketing up until very recently. Because that was all on the dealers for the longest time. The dealers were the marketers and the dealers are their clients. RVs aren't sold from the manufacturer to a person. They're sold to the dealers. The dealers go in and they order stuff to come to their lots. And that's part of some of the problems that we have about, not unique enough rigs for all of us. But RV manufacturers are only really starting in the last 5 to 10 years to really build up a serious marketing team. It's only recently that, even just getting press releases from some of them is like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
So it's great that we have sort of this new team of content creators along with the manufacturers deciding that they're going to start doing this stuff.
It's just really refreshing because I think there's a lot of work still to be done in this industry, especially when it comes to being inclusive and representing all people in this country, all people in this world that enjoy this lifestyle of RVing and camping. There's a lot of work that's still to be done. But what's really wonderful to see right now is those tiny little bubbles that you have started to create where you say, this is just my empire and no one else gets to be a part of it. And I'm going to hold all that. That's cracking around those people. That doesn't get to happen anymore. RVing is for everyone. This lifestyle is for everyone. And anyone who wants to make a podcast or a YouTube video or have an Instagram account, they're welcome. They're welcome here and they're welcome with a whole host of other people who are doing this as well. And I love it. I love seeing what people are doing. I love seeing what people are creating. And I love being inspired by those people. I learn every single day from all of you out there.
And you know what it's doing? What this massive social media / content bubble, I guess is the word,
right.
But this blob is doing it's creating better products from the manufacturers because they know that consumers are more savvy now. Consumers are looking under those dinettes. They're testing
well, they
out,
have to if they're going to be on Going RV.
They're testing out those mattresses. they're looking at the suspension. It's not just about the floor plans to everybody anymore.
It's not about those swoops and swirls anymore either.
And manufacturers are seeing that and they're going to respond to it because competition matters. And when they start to try to outdo each other on better quality instead of trying to outdo each other on price is when we see better units out there. And it is happening. It is happening over the last couple of years. We're seeing companies putting in quality control facilities for the first time that never had quality. How insane is that some of these RV manufacturers have never had a quality control facility? They build the trailer and don't check anything.
Send it out the door.
The dealer was responsible for all of that. So now you see them building rain bays. You see them testing stuff out. You see all that sort of stuff is happening now. And it is because of this.
I wish we could come up with a better word besides influencer.
Yes.
Because that word feels very insular and singular.
Yeah, that's why I use content creator. I prefer that.
I like that. Content creators, content community.
Mm-hmm.
I like words that feel like more than just me, more than just you, more than just an individual. An influencer, I feel, feels like we're trying to slide something through the door, whether or not we believe in it. But if you believe in a community, then what you bring to the table is always going to be for the good of that community.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty rad time. I mean, there's some craziness all around us constantly. 2021 looks like it's just going to be as crazy as 2020 was. But there is a community here that is saying together we're going to make some real positive steps in the RV industry, and anyone is welcome.
And I left
always.
a lot of people off that list of certainly.
Yes.
So, but
yeah, that is not a cool kids list.
Yeah.
Everyone's invited to that table, and we will put resources in the show notes here of where you can find all those people that we mentioned, so that you can come and be a part of their communities and then the communities as a whole that are being formed.
All right, let's wrap this up with a brain teaser. How about?
Go for it.
Okay.
It's all you, sir.
Okay, it's not bad, really, I promise.
All right, well, I have my pen and paper ready, and I also went and got my calculator just in case.
Aliens have miniaturized you
Stop it.
and placed you on a fresh Cheerio floating in a bowl of milk.
You literally went to find the most ridiculous brain teaser to get back at me because I've been so successful.
You are a few millimeters away from another Cheerio, just floating on by.
Oh, yeah.
The aliens give you the option of taking them up on a challenge. Right?
Okay.
They will give you $1 million if your Cheerio does not touch the other Cheerio. Otherwise, if it does, they will cut off your hand.
Whoa, that got dark.
Right?
So
the question is, do you take them up on the challenge or not?
Look, I try not to get into bed with aliens, so I'd probably be like hard pass because I need my hands.
Aliens.
Yeah, so I need my hands in order to do my job. So I'd probably say hard pass, but that's not with anything other than just me being like.
But it's only one hand, like you'd have another hand.
$1
million.
Like I said, I try not to get into bed
you
with
can push
aliens.
It away.
I am so. Let's wrap this show up.
We'll have the answer to that and a whole lot more on next week's episode of the RV Miles podcast.
Yes, we will. And if we come back next week and we have hands, depending on whether or not we took the alien challenge, we will look forward to talking to you even more. But just a reminder, RV Miles is all across social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And of course, you can find Jason and I and 6,000 of the nicest people over at the RV Miles Facebook group. We certainly hope you will come and join. It's a beautiful community over there. Also, if you have questions or suggestions for future topics, please feel free to ask them in the Facebook group. Email us at editor@rvmiles.com. And last, but certainly not least, the most important, if you haven't headed over to Apple Podcasts and left RV Miles a 5-star review, will you please give us 30 seconds of your time and just bounce over there and do that? It puts us in front of a whole new audience. All right, that's it. Until next week, please be safe, be well, keep wearing your mask, and keep logging those RV miles.
Watch out for the aliens.
Woo!
Bye.